Hey everybody, this is Jewelyn. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a very fun Meet My Plant Friend plant tour featuring one of my plant friends that I haven't seen in a long time and the channel hasn't seen in a long time. And she recently moved a few months ago from her Los Angeles apartment into a home with a driveway, yard, a garage, and multiple rooms and a huge house. So I am looking forward to sharing bits and pieces of her collection over the next couple of months. In today's video, you're going to see part 1 of 3 of her plant tour, plant talk, top 10 of everything that is going on the outside of her home, from the driveway into her yards and different projects. So I hope you guys enjoy this style of video while we are all home in quarantine. So in today's video, you are going to get introduced to her new space. She's going to talk about what it was like from moving to an apartment into a home with a huge plant collection, as well as bring us up to date with what she's been up to and her current plant projects while we are all staying in. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and thank you, Carrie, so much for being a part of the channel.
Hi Jewelyn, thanks for having me. Welcome to the driveway. Was interesting. So about 2 weeks before we moved, it was meant to be a week before, but we kept getting, things just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. Buying a house is super stressful and nothing ever goes on time, is what I learned. So about 2 weeks before we moved, my best friend came over and helped me box everything up. So what I had done was I got a bunch of apple boxes from a friend, and what we were thinking was, okay, deep box with a lid, we can put stuff inside and then we can stack the boxes and just do everything in one trip. And I was like, that's a brilliant idea. So got home, started boxing things up, and what I did was, I would just take the pot, we wrapped it up in packing paper and put it inside the box. Well, we realized I had so many plants, I wasn't going to be able to put, I had to use the lids as boxes too. So no putting lids on the boxes. So I wound up with 36 boxes of plants. Apple boxes, boxes that I already had sitting around my house, because if you're a plant person, you always keep boxes around. 36 boxes plus the big plants that couldn't fit into a box. And we wound up doing our whole move was in 2 days. So the first day was a Wednesday, it was pouring rain, and another friend came over and I had rented a U-Haul van. And we just loaded the van with shelves and plants and brought it over to the house and went back and did it again. We managed to do that in just 2 trips, though I'm really sure I had brought stuff before in my car too, or the next day I brought stuff in my car as well. So it was overwhelming to move the plants, because you're concerned that what's going to break, is the pot going to break, are the plants themselves going to break, what's going to survive this whole move. And then you get here, you stick everything in a corner, and it took me 3 weeks to really get everything unboxed, and I lost only about 5 plants in what I would consider the move portion. Around 300 plants when we moved. And I don't know, I don't count now. I'd say 400 for sure. And there's still plenty of plants inside. The plants that were in my hallway before we moved are on the same shelf that they were in the hallway. They're set up in a different room with the same grow light setup. Same thing with the dining room. The plants that were in the dining room on the shelf with the grow light setup are in there. I did swap some things outside that were inside, but there's still a lot going on inside, and we'll get to take a look at all of that soon as well. I've got some plumeria cuttings from a friend of a friend who sold her house and moved. So we pruned her plumeria, and I've got some cuttings in the ground to see what's going to go on with them. I have some naked ladies here that were already on the property when we bought it. So I left the majority of them where they were, and I'm trying them in a different place to see how they do in 2 different situations. And then I've got several aeoniums there. The first 2 closest came from the lady who moved, and then the one in the back I bought before the whole shutdown started. And then behind that I've got a huge Calico Bejarensis trunk. I lopped off the top of it and stuck it in the ground to root, and I've got that guy there to see if it maybe sprouts out some new growth. Over here I've got some epiphyllum cuttings from a friend, and a new epiphyllum that I got, and some more Ioniums. So I'm going to be planting some strawberries in addition to other yummy edible things. This project is my raised planter beds. So each one holds 50 cubic feet of soil, and I built them in February and got one filled with soil right away, and we just had the soil. So since we are socially isolating, distancing everything, we had the soil delivered by the Home Depot, and then I just dump everything in and get the rest of my seedlings in the ground. So my seedlings are inside and under grow lights. I started them in a little greenhouse thing, and everything seems to be doing pretty well. What I direct planted out here was 4 types of lettuce and some green onions. So the green onions that are really sticking up, those were in my refrigerator, and I used the green onion part and then stuck the rooted part in the ground. Behind them, you can see all the little ones that I planted from seed starting to come up, and I'll thin these out shortly. I've already thinned out the lettuce, and we'll see how that goes. I have a tomato plant I bought, so I'm trying some regular tomatoes, and I'm also trying some heirloom tomatoes. So the ones that are in the ground already right here are heirloom, and I still have more seedlings in the house because, again, I'm experimenting and seeing how much babying they need before I can throw them into the ground. And I also have some dill plants coming up right there. Another just tomato plant I bought. It was meant to be left in the pot all season, but I'm going to stick it in the ground. And these are one of my favorite flowers. So, I grew up in Tennessee, and iris is the state flower. And my mom and my grandmother had iris beds when I was growing up. So it would be just a garden of just a variety of iris. And a friend from one of the plant clubs, I saw that she had iris on her Instagram, and I commented and started talking to her about it. And back in December, she brought me some rhizomes. She brought me some rhizomes. So I stuck these in the ground back in January, and now I have buds coming up. So this one is a reblooming iris. So our climate in California we have a very long growing season, as everybody knows. So some brilliant person decided to breed a reblooming iris. So these guys will bloom in the spring and then again in the fall. So I haven't had iris in so long, and this is probably the thing I am most excited about in my garden right now. Here's the Calico top that I lobbed off. You remember how much I love fuzzy plants, and I'm so happy to have this huge guy here. So its trunk is the one that I showed you over alongside the driveway over there. It was just so big, I thought it would be easier to chop it off and root it and see if I can get some new growth out of that one. And then here, this is where the naked ladies were when we moved in. It was a huge area, completely overgrown with weeds. These guys are just going to stay here. We'll see how they do. And there's even a little rose bush right there that got mowed all the way down that's now sprouting some new growth. There are rose bushes everywhere, by the way. So that's been interesting to discover a rose sprouting up in the middle of your backyard. I've never had a fig tree. I've actually never had any fruit-bearing tree. So this has about 3 or 4 figs on it right now. Had I known what I was doing before, I would have pruned this very heavily when we first moved. Dead tree, century plant. I've been gradually cutting all the dead stuff off the bottom of it, and the power company is going to come out and lob off the top so we can pull the rest of my garden project. I just laid this down yesterday. So this is a 9x12 painter's cloth, and I'm just trying to start to kill the grass, and I'm doing all this manually. As you can see, I don't have a rotary tiller or anything. So using a manual tiller and what I call a mattock, which apparently some people call, I forgot. Anyway, I'm manually turning the ground. What's going to go here? Corn. Corn needs to be planted in squares because it's pollinated by the air, by wind currents. Corn, some green beans, and carrots. Things that don't do so well in planter boxes. Thankfully, I've got some space. So this little guy was not looking so great when we first moved in. It was actually laying down, and at first I thought it was rooted that way. And then we got all these heavy rains, and I came over and started pulling grass out, and I just pulled on the tree and brought it upright. And there's like 20 plus little fruits on it, but they're still hard as rocks. So we'll see if it actually does anything, because I think it's been through a lot of trauma. And I'm going to be mostly out here working on my planter beds and getting some more plants into the ground. So thank you guys so much. Thanks, Jewelyn. It was fun doing this and getting creative with our current situation. Everybody take care.
All right, you guys, that is gonna wrap up part 1 of 3 of Meet My Plant Friend, Carrie. I can't wait to share with you tomorrow's video. In tomorrow's video, we are going to be sharing her 300 plus plant collection for everything that is outside of her home. It's definitely a different style from my normal Meet My Plant Friend series. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you're new, welcome to the channel. Subscribe for daily uploads between the main channel Monday to Thursday and the vlog channel Friday through Sunday. You get a video each and every day. Until next time, stay safe. Aloha from Santa Monica, California. Bye.